TPC controller that comes with my HK IK package, just to show you how to set it up. It's gonna work the same way with any other controller, except that crouching requires you to set the value, or actually HK IK has options for that to auto detect that too. Anyways, I'm gonna show you how to set this up and get this guy with some food effects as well, but that's gonna be in a different part of this video. For this part, I'm just going to get the IK working. As you can see, he's digging his feet in and out of the surface, and it's not aligning with the floor. You can see the bottom part there. Plus, on this bridge, it looks really bad. See how it's standing in the air. So we're gonna fix this right now. Very simple steps. Just have to follow me and don't make any mistake with those. So first of all, you need to go to your animator, and of course it's gonna work with any humanoid character only. And in the base layer, make sure to enable IK Pass. So, there you go. And then we're going to add the script that comes with our package, which is called Humanoid IK. The Universal IK and Humanoid IK both inherit from HK IK base. This class contains useful functions and the main stuff like calculation and forecasting and a lot of other stuff in here. Most important stuff is in there. These ones just apply that to the humanoid and the universal for the universal IKs, which is using animation rigging. We'll talk about that in the next part of this video, which is setting up for universal IK. By the way, this is just let's call this preview or beta, whatever, but it might contain bugs, so make sure to report to me using Discord. Let's continue now. I'm gonna add humanoid IK, and it's got a lot of settings. I will explain each one of these, but for now we're gonna keep them at default. Yeah, like that. That's it. So once we add this, everything's gonna work on its own. We've got these events which we'll use for effects. Once this is done, we are actually good to go. If we hit play, now if you look, our foot is going to start aligning, and that's automatically done too. And yeah, as you can see, it's aligning with the surface. IK is actually on. We can change modes in real time as well. As you can see, currently the foot surface detection mode is box and sphere. If you change it to raycast, you can see the difference in raycast. I mean, it's digging the feet a little bit, but raycast is definitely more cheaper, but less quality, you can call it. As you can see, his toe is going to go in there. Although raycast is like that, but spherecast is better than raycast. It's a bit more accurate. As you can see, it also fixed the problem of digging in there, but it still has this problem right here. As you can see, the toe is going to go inside. To fix that, you must use box. If you use box only, however, it will give you good results, as you can see this one, but not going to be as good as the box and sphere, because box and sphere means we're going to use both of them. Although box and sphere has its own cons, but I would recommend you go with box and sphere most of the time. Yeah, so that's it. Everything seems to be working perfectly. Anyways, so that's that. And that's how easy it is to get it working instantly. Now, one more thing to do to finish the setup, because when you're crouching, you want a bit of different behavior. In our TPC controller, we have included an option to enable this thing. So we're just going to check this box, and we're going to add this here. By the way, if you don't see this checkbox, this might not be on the SS store yet, but in 3.0.2, let me just write that down. 3.0.2, that's it. That's gonna have the version. The current version is 3.0.1. When we have this too, we will surely include this as well. So if you have this checkbox, just enable that. Make sure you enable it and assign this model here. Once you do that, the crouching is going to be auto setup. It's gonna automatically work. There's a crouching mode here, this thing. Although we support this thing, so if you use your own script, don't add any states here. And if you want to use the state-based mechanism, then don't use the script mechanism, because there's only one bool you can change. Anyways, let's hit play, and you will see it modifies the bool in real time. So if you crouch now using C, you'll see that on our script, it's setting it to be enabled, and we can't change it. Of course, it's being set every frame. But the behavior changes is explained in one of my previous videos in the same playlist. You can check that out. So if you crouch here, you can see it maintains the upper body. I'll just explain it here too. The upper body is maintained to be perfectly you know, if you let me show you, if I change the tolerance to 1 to the default behavior, and this is what you'll expect, it brings the body up to give a bit of more realism, you know. Anyways, this is the recommended value of C5. Let me check that out. So yeah, alright, that's the way you can set up HK for IK. Very simple, the steps are quite simple. Just understanding it a bit is, you know, what takes time. Otherwise it's literally just moment of clicks and seconds. See you in the next Universal IK. So this is the horse with the horse controller included, and it's quite basic, of course. I don't recommend that for real projects. Just for testing it's fine, for showing a product off it's fine. And as you can see, this just has running, and that's all it has. But the feet, you can see how bad they look. Of course, this horse doesn't even have surface alignments, so we're going to actually add that. The Universal IK has an option for it though. That's why I would like bug reports, because Universal IK is supposed to work with everything else, and it's not supposed to have specific features though. But I think that field is optional. Anyways, we're gonna see how it works, and let's go. The first step is to add the script, of course, Universal IK to the one with your animator, of course. Yeah, there you go, and that's our script there. It has the same settings in the common IK settings. It's exactly the same. Not sure why we're having this error. Okay, it's just a bug. And then you have this whole Universal IK setting, which means that it has boxcast offset only 1, and it's a bit different. You have to add feet here manually, so this will take a little bit more time. Yeah, this looks like a redundant error. I'll fix this, so hopefully 3.0.2 will have this error fixed as well. So let's get on with this and get this working. Firstly, we need to make constraints for our feet. We're gonna go to the Universal IK helper in the tools, and to auto setup, we're just going to assign this a script here, and we're gonna give a constraints parent. So for that, we need to create like the rig. So for that, you go to animation rigging, make sure to install this package from the package manager, rig setup, and you have a rig here. We can create a feet empty game object and just pass that there, parent. Now for each feet, you're gonna create them from here. The button will come when you assign all of these. So it's asking for the root bone. Let's go in here. I'll do the back leg first. As you can see, it's here, right here. This is one of the mesh part, and that's it. The root is going to be considered this one here. This will be the foot, and the tip is the toe part. And you can press generate to create it. Once you do that, it generates and gives you this pop-up. So we got all the pop-up, and everything is set up automatically. So as you can see, we'll set the source objects, and it'll work correctly for you. As you can see, it has an IK target as well. The multi-parent constraint is used to get the animations position, because that's how our system works. We need the animations position as well, so we take it from the bone to the toe bone. Alright, so we can press OK for this one, but once you press OK, you're gonna have to reassign these, because we're done with this one. Now we're going to go and take it out from this one, which is right here. I used option on, or I don't know what's it on Windows, maybe Alt. The forward arrow, you can then open all of it, expand all. So we can pass in all of these references, press generate, and we got the next set of constraints ready. We close these and open up these ones. We can see that this one is not going to have the feet, rather it's this right here, the front shoulders. We're gonna use these. So that's the toe. I'm going to pass that in there, foot there. Oops, I made a mistake. Foot and the shin. Generated. Alright. And for the last one, hopefully like that, generated. Okay, we're done with the generation of constraints. We can close that window now. If you check Universal IK now, you can see you've got a few elements, and they've all got our references. So that's done. Now we can basically give it a go, but before we do that, I'm going to go in here and disable these checkboxes, because we don't want to use it for now, to prevent any errors. So hit play. as you can see, it has a bit of an issue because of additive animation. So to use the body positioning, you can enable it. The body positioning is required though. I would say you should always use it. I mean, without that there might be issues, but if you find any other weird issues, make sure to report them to me. So to do this, we need to use manual editing. So for the body parent, we need to create one parent constraint and add a multi-parent constraint to this one. I'm going to add one multi-parent. Where's it? Here it is. The object that's going to be constrained is going to be this root bone, because it's what is going to be moved and rotated. As you can see, it moves the whole object. So we can go to our parent constraint right here and assign that. There's the constraint object, and we're going to create a new one. This is the target. This is body. This one doesn't have this, and rather it's assigned the source object. Right, we can go here and start setting stuff. So the target, we have this right here, the parent constraint, and we still need a multi-position constraint, which is going to be called position constraint. We'll change that to the position constraint. There you go, and it's this one here. The object is still root. The source object for this one is body target. An issue that we just made here is that, let me have a look at this. So yeah, so the basically you have to give yourself as the constraint object. In the parent, you have to set this guy as the constraint object, which means, or else I'm putting it wrong, with the constraint object. And for the root, sorry, the source, we're going to use the root, because that's what's, we're going to grab the position from this one and feed it into ourselves. The position constraint is going to override this one and set body target. So now we can go here and start assigning it. So for the multi-position constraint, we got this done. The body rotation bone is going to be this one right here. Target is going to be another one. We just give it directly, because after all we're going to be assigning that target the same one. I'm not sure this will work or not. We'll see if it works or not later on. The default offset, as you can see, this is the forward and this is the root. As you can see, it's approximate, I think it's, yeah, so minus 180 is the default offset. I think it will work this way. This. Now let's hit play and see what happens. As you can see, the object has vanished into nowhere. That's because it's gone. Oh, it's coming back. Actually, it came. Oh, I don't know why that happened. I have no idea of that one, but I think it works. So if you look at this, yeah, it's working. Although the rotation doesn't seem to work. Yeah, the rotation isn't clearly working. Let me have a look at this. So yeah, it's working though. The feet are lining correctly. As you can see, it's going to try to maintain that, but we need to give a bit of a more height multiplier or something to be able to get a better one second, why is this not working? It seems like the rotation is not working because of the constraint not being there. And yes, there is no real rotation constraint that we have made yet, and that's why it doesn't work. So to do that, we just have to make another one and call it the rotation constraint, and just give in the source object correctly, add a rotation constraint, remove this one. The root is going to be the target, and the target is going to be the body target. Sorry, yeah. Well, that breaks it all up. Now let's go in here and fix it. So if we do it this way, if we take this down to 180, actually 0 seems to be working, so perfect. I'm not sure why this is happening, but if I can do it right, come on, this is not very easy. To make this work, I'm going to be this is going to be which way? Try it this way. What about 0 seems to be working fine, but doesn't really work. I mean, if you look at it. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. This is wrong. Something's wrong. Hey, it's that which is modified. So we can see that we need a default offset to work for us. The whole body has to be changed. I mean, so for this to work, I think we can add an offset here. We need an offset of -180, and then to fix this permanently, we need to change these values here. So I think 180 will fix this problem. No, -180. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, it worked. So basically the constraint was not letting it down. Basically we needed offsets to make it work correctly. So it's quite complicated actually. Even my horse controller is not perfect. That's why I'm not making any controllers. This is just for demo. The actual thing is this script here, which is managing everything correctly. For humanoids that are not humanoids, I mean humans or characters like humans, let me say two-legged, they probably won't even need this option here. This option has some issues and might even have some problems, but right here you can see we have included this field to fix those. As you can see, we just fixed all the problems here, and that's how you set it up. Of course, you're gonna have to copy the script here like this to save your changes. Plus, I remember that I modified the constraint to fix this issue, so make sure to save that like this and paste the values here. So to fix this problem, we need to do reset, and literally that's the problem. Once you reset the position, the problem was it's not in the first term, or let me call it not visible. And if I hit play now, you'll see no problems will happen. There you go, it's fixed and everything's working fine. Foot effects and all that stuff, we can talk about that too in one of our next parts in this video. This video is not going to finish right here, of course. There's a bit more to talk about. So that's about it to set up. So to add effects to humanoid characters, I mean the IK script has nice events that you can use. Make sure to add the effects script and then just call one of these callbacks accordingly. So left foot and the right foot. That's probably all you need really to get it up and running, but you still need to assign the animator. Although it's optional, it will get it itself unless you assign manually. Um, you can enable blend terrain sounds, but we have our own also. You also need to create your own surface data. I will explain this too, settings, each one of them in the end. For now, we just are going to use one of them that comes with the package, but I create my own, which is for this environment. Links for the environment too are going to be in the description. It's free though on the asset store, so I will surely link it in the description. Right, so we're just gonna drag that in the foot surface data field. Once that's done, we can hit play. Now we will get the effects working. Yep, as you can see, both the feet, we have the effects working while crouching as well. So that's that, and it's quite easy to add the effects once you have the IK set up for it, because most of the job is done by the script, the IK script, which is calling the correct callbacks. Alright, so now we're gonna have a look for universal IK instead. Once I'm done with this, yeah. Alright, so this is the universal IK, and to do it, I'm just showing you. I mean, there was some problem with the original setup. Anyways, I just use a sample one. This does has the universal IK has problems, so make sure to report them when you find them. I will just give the camera in. It's quite simple. You just have to give in the footland event the on play universal IK effect instead of the other foot ones, and then it starts to work as well the same way. As you can see, this one's faded almost all the way, but if you look at the others, which have good color like this one, you can see where the pivot is. I got that to make sure that they're placed based on the foot position at the last moment. So that's how it works. Yeah, in that folder we have the decals. So I can walk around and it spawns the particle effects as well and run around too. So now we're going to have a look at the HK IK settings, starting with the Humanoid IK settings. Sorry, the base IK setting, which is included in both these scripts because they inherit from it. The first one is the foot IK toggle. It's quite obvious what this does. Just enables and disables the whole foot IK loop. The foot IK layer is to tell which one to listen to. So as you can see, I just have one layer, and that's the first one, which is 0. So the current index is correct. The foot IK weight just lerps between that, and then you have the foot surface detection technique, which the best one, of course, I would suggest is either box or box and sphere. Depends on what you select. They both have their own pros and cons. Some fail at some places, but I think the best overall, I would select box and sphere, although it's the most expensive one. So even going with the box only is okay. Anyways, the box cast size, as you can see, the gizmos show exactly how it looks. And you have the offset due to box cut. Now this is important field. 0.02 should mostly work anywhere. It's quite sensitive field too. A little bit editing can cause big problems. Then you have the sphere cast radius, which is there. Can you see the sphere there? Also we have this foot cast down distance and foot cast height. This is the amount of range the box is being swept across. You have the feet collision layers, you've got the foot trigger mode, all of that's simple. The height offset is the offset from the surface. There's a max rotation angle, meaning how much I can apply to the foot at the maximum on the ankle. As you can see, I will show that to you right now. So as you can see, there's a speed of the foot alignment to make it smooth. If we enable that just to make sure that the character stops colliding with it, makes the trigger. As you can see, the smoothing values here, they're important. They are used by smooth damp. That's the technique we use to smooth the feet. If you rotate it also it's smooth because that's the rotation. So here you can see the problem between box and sphere. So box performs best here. As you can see on this type of an edge, it was much better compared to a sphere. Yeah, so it's quite smooth. The foot IK disabled states are those states which you want to force IK off. Show gizmos and gizmos color. That's simple gizmos interaction. Alright, so the humanoid IK settings is next. The first one is left foot box cast. Offset, so it's the offset to apply from the origin of the foot. As you can see, 0 would mean that's there, but we have added some to get that correctly done. The humanoid crouching behavior is enabled by my scripts to make sure that we have the correct behavior when crouching. The humanoid crouching tolerance affects the behavior directly. We could disable that, then only would stop overriding it. The foot IK crouching states, just filter again for the states to enable the crouching mode. And you have the ground detection layers and the ground detection stuff, so that's quite basic as well. You have the body movement, in which you can change the body IK weight. Let me just, so I'll disable the crouching for now, and as you can see now the body IK weight can show itself. The body height offset can be used to fake crouching or literally just fix issues, or maybe you want to do anything else with it. It's just the relative body offset, that's all. You can see how it looks now. I would just set it to the foot IK height offset to make sure the animation looks the same. So let's go back here and change that from the settings here. Just paste that back. The smoothing values are the same way working. They use the smooth damp, and the offset speed is lerp based. You have the body leaning. If you see, he runs and he leans a bit forward backward based on the slope. Let me just give the camera so we can have a better perspective. yeah, I can use a cube to simulate a bit more slope. Let me just create that more angled slope so we can explore more of the settings. So the body velocity bypass can be enabled to have a look at how it works. When we make the slope leaning full, that's the amount max. Maintain shoulder, as you can see, gives a good nice shoulder bending effect. When enabling foot height differences, it uses this multiplier and compares the 2 feet to get the correct slope. This is a very sensitive, not a very sensitive value unless you increase this as well. So you can see it directly affects then, but you have to make very high values. I keep it like 40, but I surface angle is based on the grounded check. It's actually a raycast, not a ground check behind the scenes. um, the leading speed is the speed of getting to the position. As you can see, when I just did that 200, it was very bad. This is full body leaning, very less effect. It directly affects the hip, not the spine. Just a subtle effect to make things look better. And yeah, we have a debug mode. We can see all the fields. All right, so that's all of them fields, except that the foot length threshold. These are all event callback related, so they are just thresholds, and min distance is the 2 feet distance before we can have permission to like call that. The foot land delay will affect like an audio delay as well. So yeah. All right, so universal IK settings. The first is the main one, the feet. You can add many feet, as many as you wish. Each uses a for loop, and the whole list is checked. Make sure not have any null here. This can throw errors. I'm just gonna unpack so that I can show you. So as you can see, you have to create your own foot parent constraint if you add it manually. That's why the tool does it all itself when you give it the references. Foot box cast offset is the same thing in the previous Humanoid IK as well, but it's for all of the feet, so you can't control for each one of them. As you can see, we have use body positioning and use body rotations. We could actually, as you can see, the rotation weight affects the rotations. If you change the root bone, then you will change the different root bone, but it's actually using the root bone, not setting it. Setter is the body rotation target. We have the constraints which I created. The body height offset multiplier is relative to the rotation, so it's affected by it. When you rotate the horse, you might want to go lower or upper based on that, because of the pivot point. Anyways, you have the rotation speed and the other speeds. And then you have the ground check system, which is quite basic. I mean, I wouldn't suggest this ground check system for a horse, of course. That's why I would usually disable it and set the grounded manually. Anyways, HK foot surface data. You can create one using this create menu, but it's going to be HK foot IK in 3.0.2. But right now it might be for HK foot placement, but to create it, that's how you create it. And then all these settings are here. You've got the footstep decals and effects. They're all optional because if you don't put any, they'll not throw an null reference error, I think, and they will just be not played or sent or spawned. The detection data, you can create multiple texture data, of course, for each audio clip, like for each multiple audio clips. The clips are going to be randomized. But the cool thing about this is you can add many combinations of this. So you can have multiple textures to play the same audios, or multiple layers combinations of all three that can create like many possibilities. That's why it's crazy, but you can add as many as you want. So if you want it for 2 different textures or one texture and a different layer, then you can do it. Then you have the clips. So these clips can be as many as you want. They're going to be randomly selected. Give the play delay, which is the clip delay before we spawn one. The volume and the 2D 3D sound blend. I will use 3D because this is 3D anyways, just to give that option to you. We have the min distance, the max distance, the volume roll off, and the same exact class is serialized here as well. Yeah, as you can see, it's here, and same values are here. We can add many of these. The problem that happens when you add many of these, you have to set the default sound, so make sure that you have a correct index delay, or it will throw a null reference like error if it doesn't find any in the index that you set. Let me just set the left foot and right foot decal for the default settings, and then we can use the button to set them all for all of these. That's an option to make it easier. And it's going to be a pop-up later, but for now it's just this one here. In 3.0.2 you will have a pop-up. If you cancel it, then it stops and doesn't do anything. You press yes, it's gonna set the values that you set here for every one of them. Only the footstep effect settings, nothing else. So that's pretty much it, and I hope to see you in the next video. I hope you enjoy my asset. If you find any problems, go and report them to me through my Discord. Yeah, and by the way, this also records the undo history, so if you want to go back, you can just go behind. As you can see, it went behind, like it's going to revert the changes. Alright, so see you in the next video. I'm going to provide the links, of course. Subscribe and like, join the Discord, and bye bye.